Permits are not paperwork. Permits are a third party making sure that the person with the hammer actually knows what they're doing. Shocking. Well, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Chicks in Construction. I'm your host, Mickey Paradise, and this is my amazing co-host.
Hi, I'm Jessica Abreu.
And so listen, per usual, the setup goes like this. We have a homeowner horror story for you. Now, this one, we did some research and found it ourselves. But listen, do we want to share your story? We do. But the way to do that is you have to share it with us. Sadly, I do not have the telepathic abilities to just sense your story, which I wish I did, because I would also sense a lot of other things. I'll just be honest. I'm not right. Okay. I'm not on the right side of anything. So it's a good thing I don't, but this did get weird. I'm going to land it. We just want you to write in your stories. That's what I was trying to get to.
If you can write your stories into chicksandconstruction.com.
Yes, you can.
I'll help you land the plane.
Thank you. Jess was like, Jesus, Mickey. That's fair. That's fair. I get annoyed with myself. If you get annoyed with me, don't worry. I also get annoyed with me. Sometimes I watch the podcast and I'm like, okay, Mickey, land it already. Sorry, guys. But yeah, so the entire podcast is really just based on people who have had really bad experience with contractors. When you guys share your stories, then we can help share that with others so that people can learn from your mistakes, because learning the hard way is overrated. So that's really important. You can do it at chicksandconstruction.com. We would love to like build up a little cache of your homeowner horror stories. Joe
Bless
sneezed.
you.
Bless you, Joe.
I'm like, I can't ignore it.
That was a big one.
Pick it up. If you guys would have been cool.
No,
Am I ever
you know
cool?
us. When are we cool?
It's just like, just these.
No, she said it. I said, bless you.
She did, because
I was the polite one.
You're the appropriate one in this relationship. Jess is always the appropriate one. She's polite too. But I do appreciate that you sneezed with your whole chest. This is a topic of conversation in our house because me and Hector sneeze with our souls. Mm-hmm. But Alyssa, our niece who lives with us, sneezes like this. That's the most. And me and Hector will judge her very harshly for this. We're like, what? I remember the first time it happened.
How does that help get any of it
right
to move?
Hector goes, what was that? He was, and like, mind you guys, Hector's like the most gentle, like non-judgmental person. I'm always the jerk. Like, I'm the jerk. He's not. This time, he came right out the gate. I'm like, Hector, are you in your villain era? Because my God, today. He goes, what was that? And she goes, I sneeze. He goes, that was not a sneeze.
Goes, I'm sorry, ma'am.
You need to learn to sneeze with your whole soul, Alyssa. You need to sneeze with your chest. And he will not get off this. So every time she sneezes, he goes, what was that? She's like, Hector, you know that was me sneezing. And what was funny is, so then we go to Hector's nephew's house, and he has a daughter around Alyssa's age. She's a little bit younger, and Alyssa sneezes in front of her, and she goes, what was that? And I was like, oh my God, it's genetic. So I guess in our house, we're big sneezers. That's why I appreciated Joe's big sneeze. At least he let it all out.
He did. He let it all
now
out.
He can't even edit this out because it's just a part of the show now. Joe's like, Jesus, why was this the show I had to sneeze on? Poor Joe. Joe puts up with a lot of abuse.
He does. So I did something this weekend.
What did you
do? I got suckered into and signed up for...
a marathon?
Nope, a Tough Mudder.
What?
If you know me, I hate getting dirty. Like, at my kids' softball tournament this weekend, there was sand.
Yeah,
like,
and it's just the devil's work. It's the devil's work.
There was just sand everywhere. And I was in flip-flops because it was 100 and something degrees. Like, my feet were just dirty all day long, and I hated it. And at the end of the day, like, I was just sweaty and dirty. And I didn't even play softball. I was just watching.
I was a spectator. Too much.
And I was angry, and I could not wait to get home and shower. Like, I sent my kids home with my husband so that he could go get them dinner.
And you were like, I don't want to see your faces until I'm clean.
I need a shower. I need a shower so bad. And like, I wasn't even really that, I mean, I was dirty, but it wasn't like disgusting. Yeah. So my friend Karen, she's like, will you do a Tough Mudder with me? I was like, sure.
And then you Googled what it was. Just to not take her own advice.
I have heard of it, and I was like, mud is in the name.
Karen be wild in these streets, though.
So if you don't know what a Tough Mudder is, it's literally being in like dirt,
other
mud,
people's dirt,
puddles,
nature's dirt,
while you're sweating and
running,
climbing
and trying to avoid being murdered by other people.
I was like,
it's a lot.
How does one, like, I will train for the running part. I will get my upper body to have some strength because right now I have zero upper body strength. I cannot pull myself up. I cannot do a pull up. I can barely do a push up.
Right. I'm full aware that like if I'm ever like being chased or like have to fight off my attacker, I'm gonna die. Like I'm not gonna survive it.
That's
part of my problem is when I was in college, I took a self-defense class. So now, obviously I was really feeling myself. The problem was in order to remember the moves, I would say them as I did them. And my sister, like there's this one called knife hand strike. It's where you take like this part of your and you hit him in the trake. Yeah. And my sister's like, Mickey, the problem with this is you announce your move as you're doing it. And I was like,
You're going to block it.
So
yes. So
again, I'm the whole problem.
Yeah. But one of the things is they electrocute you.
What?
Yes. So
what is this training for the CIA?
So it's just one of the obstacles that could be there. So like I was Googling all the obstacles. One of them is like you get to choose being dirty and like a mud, literally like army, like
the choice is no,
like
thank
arm
you.
crawl.
Oh God,
through
dirt in the
water.
mouth. No,
yes, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to be like, but then there's like these things hanging down that have all the that can electrocute you.
Why did you just sign up to get waterboarded?
I don't know.
Who
but
does
now
this?
I have to do it.
Do you? I mean, I'm coming down with a no.
But on the plus side, I get to go away for a weekend.
Where? The Bahamas?
No, Nashville.
Absolutely not. If we're talking Turks and Caicos, maybe, but like
they don't do a Tough Mudder there.
Nashville, absolutely not. There's not enough meat on the bone.
Well, I get away from
She's
everything.
Like, I get away from my kids. I don't want to say that, but I'm getting away from my kids.
I'm getting a break.
Oh.
I'm getting a break, but I have to really work for it.
Yourself.
I'm hoping that that's not one of the obstacles.
That feels like we need to write into OSHA and be like, where are you guys at? Are you regulating anything?
There's another one where it's not electrocuting, but like you climb onto this like big, huge mat, and then other people have to flip it over so that you go down sliding on the other side. And I was like, how am I supposed to get up to the top? Am I going to have to be like, just push the butt up?
Just give me a little boost.
Just boost
give me a little boost.
Because I can't.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Yep, it's going to be. But what I did do, because I'm only going to do this once. So like it's, I ran one marathon. I'm going to do one Tough Mudder. I can say that I did it. Not everybody does. So check. She's not doing it. So I told Karen, I was like, guess what I did? And she's like, what? I was like, I signed up for the photo package. So I photo evidence of all the things that I had to go through so that one, people will feel sorry for me.
100%.
Two,
I will feel sorry for her.
I can laugh at the ridiculous faces that I will be making.
I can only imagine you getting hurt and going.
My husband, when I told Brad that I signed up for it, he's like, "You did what?"
Yeah, he's like, "Come again."
you do know you have to get dirty, like your whole body, like everything will be. You have to wear your shoes into water, and I was like,
"Yeah, no, it's not."
I'm going to practice that so that I. Yes.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely not. It's funny because Hector's family. I was the first white person in the family. Like I came in and I just ruined the whole thing. And I was like, white girl in the house right now. I learned that like his entire family had these like stereotypes. I don't think they realized they had stereotypes, but like all white people love to camp. And I was like, what? No, in a camper or at a hotel? Like what kind of camp? In a tent?
Is there air conditioning?
Absolutely not. And so I went camping with them one time. It was the worst experience because it was camping.
In a tent?
In a tent.
Where?
We have a off-road park called Uwharrie in North Carolina. It's over by where the zoo is.
Okay.
And they all have like off-road vehicles because, we all work in construction, so we have money for nonsense like ATVs and whatnots. So they'll go, the entire family will go, like wild amounts, like 50 people, the entire family. There's so many
people.
And we went. It was terrible. I was dirty. I couldn't undirty myself. It was a 0 out of 10 experience. I hated it. I've never gone again. Never. Now Hector will go with his family, but he doesn't even ask. He's like, "Hey babe, I'm going camping. Okay, have fun.
Bye.
I'll be here watching Netflix, eating nachos, like
in the AC.
My hands will be clean. Like there's absolutely not."
Does he take a dog with him?
He'll take Callie because that's his girlfriend. Still side piece.
Callie
The
goes
Cali
camping.
Casita. Yeah, he's still on that. We went to his sister's house where the Cali Casita is parked, and he's like, "Man, I really need to get that renovated so I can get my YouTube channel up and going." And I was like, the sad part is, he'll probably grow faster than ours. People watching a man in a pocket bully camping, absolutely.
I mean, he should record himself renovating it too, because
He really should. That would be good quality television.
Yeah. With Callie there.
It's a lot. I have a lot of respect for people who put together, like, even just Instagram things. Like, it is so much work, like getting the right shot and like having B-roll and the editing. It's so much. So listen, everybody out there, I tip my hat to you who has solid content. This is what Jess does for a living. So she's kind of like, yeah, bitch, I know.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's a lot. I'm going to stick to drywall. I'm going to hire people like Jess to do my social media. Listen, she's great at it. You should check her out. But other than that, it's just no. So I'm excited for your pictures for your Tough Mudder. When is this happening?
October. I have until October to train.
God. Wait, that's kind of soon. And like when you think about like everything you're going to have to go through, how long is it?
We are only doing the 5K.
Oh, we're only doing the 5K.
Yeah.
How many miles is that?
3.2.
In mud?
Well, I mean, you run between obstacles. I don't know how far you run between, and I don't know how many obstacles we actually have to do. There's a lot that after I found out what all the obstacles could be, that I stopped researching because then I was like,
you were never going to do it. It's like absolutely
I told
not.
Karen, I was like, I'm not backing out. But how does one prepare for being electrocuted?
I don't know.
Like,
Ask the Navy SEALs. It's part of their training.
Yeah, she's like, it's very low voltage. It won't hurt. Because she's done one before.
Karen is a wild animal, though. Here's how I know that Karen is a wild animal. Karen is married to a dude that I went to high school with. We did not know this until I showed up at Jess's house for New Year's Eve, and I knew his sister. She was in the exact same grade as me. He was a little bit like 2 years older than me. And like, if you went to our high school and you're still alive, you should get an award. You should get like a National Peace Prize, because the fact that you survived and you're out here still in these streets is impressive. So I know Karen's wild because she's married to Jesus.
Yeah, and she was in the Air Force.
Oh, she was in the Air Force. That's where they met, right?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know how this turned into a Karen and Jesus story, but here we are.
Yeah, that's what his name is.
People are like, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is his name. It's not the other kind of Jesus.
Yeah, he was in the Army.
Okay.
And they met in Germany.
It was a little military meet cute. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Here for that moment.
But yeah, so
1 in 10 people don't finish it.
1 in 10 don't.
1 in 10 don't finish a
I'm
Tough
going
Mudder.
to finish it. And the 10K, we're not doing the 10K. That's too many. That's
too many
much.
Ks. This is all the Ks.
That's all the case. But yes. But no, we will finish it.
Terrified for you.
I mean, it'll be.
Listen, you're going to get to go to Nashville. I hear the food's great.
I'm just excited.
Catch a show while you're there.
Listen, it took me 6 hours to run a marathon. This cannot be as bad as that.
Oh, God.
I'll just be dirty. I literally as soon as we're done, I'm going to be like, I need a shower. I don't care if it's a hose.
Yeah, you got to have a whole rinse off. Ooh, yeah. I can't wait for this for you. I really can't. Schwab.
We're doing our best.
Jess, me reading is not where we're going to thrive. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's like, you read it. Who has dyslexia?
I do. You're sure you're going to play that card now?
I am going to play the dyslexic card right now.
I just can't read. can't pronounce people's names.
So we used. I've been using the GPT for our scripts for a while now, and this one is Claude. So I'm interested to see if the script is better. We're gonna find out live action on television right now. This isn't television; it's YouTube, but you get what I'm saying.
Or if you're listening, buckle up.
Buckle up, Buttercup, because it's about to go down. So the story working title, that is in quotes, is They Took Their House Down to the Studs and Walked Away. Listen, I want to say Schwab, right? That's what it looks like it says is Schwab. But then there's an L in there. Schwab? I don't know. I think maybe it's spelled SCHWALB. You tell me, guys.
Wow.
My brain is like, we don't do phonetics. Hooked on Phonics did not work for me. But
that's call them the S builders.
The Schwab builders. But that's the name of their company. The SCHWALB builders. It takes place in Denver, Colorado. And it's giving scam vibes with shoddy workmanship. So we already did the opening. We did our chickie chat. It's all in here, guys. We're just going through the script. It's fine. This is totally professional. Okay. So buckle up, guys, because this is a true story. I've been waiting to tell you guys this one for a while because every week we bring you real stories from homeowners who hired a contractor and ended up in an absolute nightmare. And the reason we do this is because every time one of you hears what went wrong, you learn how to look for it when you're working on your own home. That is the whole purpose of what we're trying to do. So you'll learn about red flags, you'll learn the questions to ask, you'll learn how to protect what matters the most. So, because as we've said, learning the hard way is overrated. So the reason this story matters is that the homeowners that we're going to talk about today did what every expert tells you to do. What we tell you guys to do all the time. They hired a company that looked legit. They signed a contract. They paid installments. And by the time they realized what was happening, they had been displaced from their home. And now that has been going on for 2 years. They had no permits pulled, no license was on file for the contractor, and the city of Denver is telling them that their house was no longer safe to occupy.
I can't believe that they're out of their house for 2 years. 2 years. Like, that is such a long time.
I know. I was like, this is why this story is so important, because sometimes we'll have like, we were out of the house for 9 months. I'm like, these people could not live in their house for 2 years. It was condemned by the city.
That's awful.
I cannot. So, as I said, we're going to Denver today. A couple named Kevin and Noelle Collins. They had a 1950s bungalow, and the contractor is named Avi Schwab. Sorry, you guys. Saying hard words that don't make sense is not where I shine. The weird last name. So, are you ready, Jess?
I'm never ready for these stories, but because I always feel so bad for them. But let's go.
Here we're doing. We're going to buckle up, Buttercup.
Buckling up.
So this starts in 2022. Kevin and Noelle Collins own a charming 1950s bungalow in Denver, which Denver has the cutest little bungalow. Oh, they're a chef's kiss. Like their bungalow construction is on point. The kind of house you see in every older neighborhood in Colorado. It had good bones. It had original hardwood. It needed some updates. They kind of wanted to do a real remodel, like not just cosmetic. They really wanted to get into their like actual full-blown remodel. They did a new kitchen. They wanted to open up the floor plan and modernize some of the areas that hadn't been touched since, like Eisenhower was the president. I don't even know what year that was. It was probably in the 50s.
Yeah, I have no idea. But this is every homeowner's dream, right? You get a home that you love, and it might be older, it could be newer, but like you're going to do all the remodeling to really make it your dream home.
Yeah, because it has good bones. So you're like, you know what? We can work with this. And that's how it all started. So they find a company called Schwab with an L Builders, run by a guy named Avi Schwab with an L. I should probably just come up with a better way to say that, but that's just where we're at. The S name. His father, Sean Schwab with an L, is also involved in the business. And from the outside, it all checks out. They have a website, they have customers, they have a project manager named Kevin who meets with the Collinses and seems to know what he's doing. So again, as just to track the story, they had a website. That does not necessarily make you legitimate. They had all the branding, they had all the things. They had confidence. Nothing, there is literally nothing that somebody could come to you with, including presenting you with a license that should divert you from actually checking to see if somebody is licensed. And you're going to see why here in the story.
Yep. So they sign the contract.
Yep.
And over time, it adds up to more than $250,000 that they're giving him. So over $250,000 for this remodel, which I'm like, I could just buy another house. I mean, I know Denver's expensive, so they can't buy a house, but like you could buy a tiny home.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just so much money for remodeling.
I will say, like, when we first started, it was outrageous to me, like what people were coming back with. And now we're so jaded. We're like, yeah, $250,000 for a renovation. Yeah. I mean, that's what people are charging. That's just what it is. Like we did one where somebody spent $75,000 on a bathroom and somebody posted on Instagram. It was like $75,000. That is way overpriced. And we were like, well, we thought it was until we started doing this.
It's not.
It's not.
It's going to go pre and post COVID.
Yeah.
So if you did a renovation before 2020.
Yeah.
All the pricing that we're saying sounds outrageous. If you do it after 2020, this is just the normal now.
Listen, I use BC and AC, but it's not before Christ and after Christ. It's before COVID and after COVID.
So because the prices never came back down.
It was 2010 BC.
Yeah.
Is it appropriate? Probably not. But do I have fun with it? I sure do. So it was a really serious project. And the Collinses, that's a tough one, did what you're supposed to do. They paid in installments as work progressed. They're not dumping the whole thing up front, which is good. So they didn't pay a huge deposit, but they did pay in these installment payments because they thought this is how we protect ourselves. And that is one way of protecting yourself. But this is a holistic thing. You can't look at it as, oh, if I check their license, then I'm guaranteed it's going to be a good situation. No, you check their license, but then you also make sure that your contract is a literal chef's kiss. Like I recommend you having a construction attorney review your contract before you sign it. Which, listen, it might cost you $200, but $200 instead of $20,000, or in this case, $250,000 is a much better situation because what you want to make sure, right, is that the things that the builder is stating in the contract are legitimate, that they're industry standard, and also that there is something in this contract that protects you from poor workmanship or people walking off the job, or that there's legal teeth in this contract that will help you recover funds if it comes down to that. Most contracts are very one-sided, right? Like they're written to be in the favor of the contractor. And in a lot of cases, like bad contracts can get a contractor in trouble, but a lot of people don't know that. So they just think, oh, well, I had to do it because I signed the contract. So having a lawyer review that contract before you sign it, I guarantee you will put you in a position where at least if the worst case situation happens, you know that there's legal protections in that contract. Again, can't get blood out of a rock. So if they turn out to be a really shady contractor and they don't have assets that you can seize, it's not going to do you any favors. But again, it's the whole picture, not just one piece. So yes, you check the license. Yes, you make sure that they have their proper insurance. You make sure that the contract is well written. These are all things that we have to do over and over again. So the crew shows up. The first big thing they do is demolition, which it seems like every story is like, the demolition was great.
I mean, it's not hard to put a sledgehammer through a wall and tear things down. I mean, I feel like on a bad day could
Smash rooms are a thing for a reason.
Yeah. I could just while out.
Yeah.
Be like, done.
Rage bait is a real thing, and we'd be out here just smashing things if we're lucky. My friend, actually, her husband took her on a date to a smash room, and she just sends me this video of her with a sledgehammer going through dishes.
Yeah.
Just like, she's raging. I was like, wow, this is why we're best friends, because she also has the rage deep in her soul.
That guy asked her out to go to a smash room, and she
No, her husband. Her husband was like, we're going on a date to a smash room.
I was like,
and she's like, I knew I married the right one.
You look like you have some tension, honey.
I'm not going to lie, though. If pre-Hector somebody took me to a smash room, I'd be like, I hope you plan on putting a ring on it, because we're perfect for each other. Okay, so when you start demolition, obviously that is the point of no return. Once they take it out, once everything is taken down to the studs, once you've got the absolute catastrophe that demolition is, unfortunately, there's no going back.
Yeah. Now you feel like you're dependent on the company.
And that we hear that a lot. We hear a lot of people. I do think it's like a tactic that shady contractors use. They get you to feel like, well, now we've torn your entire house apart. You have to pay us more. You have to go along with the things that we're asking you, because your house is torn apart. And if you ever want it put back together, you just have to keep feeding the beast. But that's almost like an intimidation tactic. They're using how you're feeling about your house being torn up to hit you up for more money, because what are you going to say? No, I'm going to hire somebody else and start this process all over again. And the answer is yes, you are going to hire somebody else. You can either do it now or you can do it later. But most people learn on the hard way that it's the later is where it costs even more money.
It costs so much more.
Yes. So you feel dependent to put everything back. Now you are 100% dependent on this company. So Schwab Builders comes in, they do the demo, and then
they slow down.
Yes, they slow down. Work gets patchy. Days run into weeks where absolutely nothing happens. The Collinses are living in a partially gutted house, and the progress is at best intermittent. And this is the exact moment in the timeline where you, as a homeowner, start to hear a little voice in your head going, something is wrong. And we hear that every single time. There's this point where like everything's demoed. Your house isn't functional. You can't use anything in it. But things just aren't adding up. They're giving you really weird reasons as to why they can't get started or why they're delayed. And in so many of the stories that you guys have shared with us, this is where that little tingly feeling, the gut, the not like fun butterflies like in your gut start.
The anxiety butterflies.
Yes, they start flying around. So something is wrong. And I want to tell every one of you listening to trust that voice. That voice is right, that you have to trust your gut. A legit contractor, if their crew is pulled off your job for legitimate reasons, whether waiting on inspections or a problem with the supplier, they will tell you that. They will call you. They will not ghost you. And that is a really good point. A legit contractor is going to be communicating with you. Problems happen on jobs. Like, you never know what you're going to find when you open up a wall. And it could be something that, okay, this is going to require an engineering letter. This is going to require us bringing in like a piece of material that has to be manufactured, and that's going to take some time. But communicating that with you, you shouldn't be guessing why your project isn't proceeding the way that you were told it was going to. And when you find yourself in a situation where this person will not communicate with you, or you're running their job, you know what's going on and they don't, that's definitely a red flag where you need to start questioning, like, okay, what's going on? So the Collinses are watching the calendar, and the money they've already paid is gone. It's paid. And the house they have emotionally invested in is sitting half finished. They keep asking for updates, and the answers they get are very vague.
And what about permits? At this point, has anybody seen a permit, or has an inspection happened?
Unfortunately, that's a great question, because when this case eventually falls apart, when an independent engineering firm comes in and looks at the project, they find out that no permits were ever pulled. And the builder were not licensed contractors.
Wait. Wait. So these guys are have demoed a whole kitchen and they're not licensed and they haven't pulled a permit. So the Collins have hired this company thinking that they were.
And here's the thing, it wasn't just their kitchen. So they wanted to they had not an open concept type of house and they wanted to open up the entire house. So it wasn't just the kitchen. It was the kitchen and parts of the living room. It was a good portion of half the house. And this is all stuff that guys, I don't care what state you live in. I don't care what the rules are in your state. If your state says, it's fine, just move walls around, no problem, you don't need an inspection, that might be your state's rules. That might be the nonsense that the general contractor is trying to tell you. But when you are moving anything structural in your house or anything major in your house, you may not think it's structural. The general contractor might not think it's structural. Having a structural engineer and having that work inspected is so important to protect you as the homeowner. So whenever anything major is happening and they're saying, oh, you don't need an inspection for that, we don't need to pull a permit, that is a huge no. It is a huge red flag. So it's not that they just weren't licensed, because you guys hear me say this all the time over and over again, that you have to verify the license yourself. A business card and a letterhead are not proof of a license. In Colorado, general contractors are licensed at a local level. So the city of Denver has a contractor licensing program. So that's interesting because it's very different here. We have a statewide licensing program. It's not city by city. So that's where doing that research before you start a project to learn what the rules are in your area is really important. And you can find this out just doing a free search online. You type in their name, it tells you whether they're registered, whether the license is active, and what the disciplinary record looks like, which that's cool that they do that in Denver because they don't do that here.
No, it would be so nice if they did.
It would be really cool. But again, I have beef with the North Carolina GC board because I just feel like it exists to serve the contractor, but they make it seem like they exist to protect homeowners. But at the end of the day, their policies are much more protective of builders than they are of homeowners. So I'm just kind of not buying it. No. But that's a really cool thing that in Denver, they're like, if you've been in trouble, people can search it and see it. That's not the case here. So I love that for Denver.
But unfortunately, the Collins did not spend the time to research this gentleman.
And I hate that for them. Nobody in this story, and in all fairnesses to the Collinses, a lot of homeowners don't even know that this is a thing that they can do. That is the biggest thing that when people write in and they're taking ownership of a part of how this all went bad, it's always, I didn't look until it was too late. So we're not throwing shade, guys. You don't know what you don't know until you know it. And so that's why it's so important, honestly. I mean, this is obviously a shameless plug, but that's why it's so important to share this podcast with your friends. Nobody's talking about this stuff. And it's not like I'm saying we're on the cutting edge. I'm just saying literally nobody is talking. I don't see another podcast of people saying, hey, listen, we're going to share your stories and we're going to break them down and tell you what went wrong. Nobody's talking about this stuff. So the more you can share it and the more you can help people understand, hey, these are the things you need to know before you get started, the less homeowner horror stories will exist.
I wish I had known before I did my home projects.
Yeah. I mean,
I have lived through my own horror story.
Right.
It wasn't a kitchen or bathroom, so it's not as terrible and it wasn't as much money. But if I had known, I would have saved myself such a headache.
And this is why we do this podcast.
Yep.
So time keeps going. The Collinses are hearing just excuse after excuse. The work that has been done, they're starting to notice that it's not quite right. Something feels off, structurally, because again, they moved a lot of their interior load-bearing walls. So they got an attorney on retainer at this point. And the city of Denver inspector eventually takes a look at the house. So from what I kind of read in the backstory, they go and they hire this attorney because they're like, listen, all this work is happening. We don't think it's right. We're not getting responses from.
And we spent a lot of money.
Yeah. And what I think is cool is they went to talk to this attorney before they even said anything to the contractor because they were like, maybe we're being unrealistic, which I think is a great perspective to have. They're like, maybe I need somebody to like fill me into like what's industry standard, what's normal. I don't want to come at this contractor sideways until I know what's what.
Right, because once you come at them sideways, they're going to leave your job.
They're going to never pick that phone up again. We've talked about it. So I like how they did that. I think that's a really good tip. If you find yourself in a situation where you're like, this is sus, talk to an attorney before you let the contractor know that you're kind of onto the shenanigans and the shenanigans, you know? So they were on it. And I love that. And I guess from what I was reading, the lawyer was like, yeah, that sounds bad. But the lawyer's thinking from the perspective of criminal processes and from civil processes. So he's like, we need documentation. So he reaches out to the Denver inspections department. He's like, it's called a courtesy inspection. So he basically explains to the inspections department, like, hey, listen, this contractor is saying that they didn't need an inspection for this or just have completely not pulled anything. We know there's not an existing permit, but can we pay you guys to come out and take a look at what's been done to let us know, does this need a permit? Does this need to be inspected? And the inspector came out and was like, oh, hell no. That's where this part of the script is called the climax. Listen, it's getting weird. Claude's doing weird stuff on the script.
You also don't have to read every single thing
that is true. But listen, I comes out of my mouth and then the words just come to the mind. What am I supposed to do? The climax. Are you ready for it?
So ready.
Jess is like, I'm ready for this to be over. So shortly after Thanksgiving of 2023, this is the moment, a year into this project. So they are a year in, and it is they still have
no kitchen.
They have no like functioning house. The city of Denver issues a stop work order on the Collinses' home, and an independent engineering firm comes in and looks at the S company builder, what they've done.
And guess what they found? It's nothing good. It's nothing good.
They found that the house was considered unsafe to occupy. Those are the words in the report. I know. Like, unsafe to occupy. Can you even imagine? No. And it's like, if you think about this, they did so much structural damage to their kitchen and living room that the entire house then became unsafe to occupy because they removed so many load-bearing and structural walls that it was like the Denver permitting department or inspections department was like, your roof could cave in on you. Like, there's no longer enough support holding up the roof that it could cave in on you. Those are the words that were in the report. The structural work that had been done was so poor and so far out of code that the house the Collinses had been living in while it was being remodeled while the remodel was going on, it was now a safety hazard. The engineer said that it was unsafe to occupy. The city of Denver said it as well. The house could not be lived in.
I can't even imagine like that feeling oh my God, I've been living here. Yeah. And it could have fallen down on me at any point. Like, I would be livid.
Like the level of like, you never sleep again.
The angry Colombian would come out.
Watch out.
You don't want to see that.
You don't want to see about that. So the Collinses had to leave their house shortly after Thanksgiving of 2023. They moved into temporary housing and started paying, get this, their mortgage on the house they couldn't live in, plus rent on wherever they were staying. It was 2 house payments for 2 years.
2 long years.
Dude,
that's so much money. Like, I just can't even imagine. Because like, Denver is not cheap.
No. So like, wherever they were renting, I'm sure it was as much as their daggone mortgage payment.
Oh, yeah, because like, I'm sure that they found something just on Furnished Finder or something, or Airbnb, where they had to live somewhere that was furnished because all of their stuff is still in their home.
And this is common. So like, we've had situations where like people were staying with family members. Our first homeowner horror story ever that launched the podcast, they were staying in Airbnbs. They had 4 dogs. So they were paying this like outrageous fees to stay in Airbnbs with that many dogs. I mean, I'm shocked they even found somebody that would let them bring that many dogs. So like, absolutely insane. And one thing that I want to pause and talk about here is what it takes for a remodel to result in a stop work order and an unsafe to occupy determination. And those are like legitimate determinations. It's not just like the guy's saying it's unsafe to occupy. The city is saying it's almost like a condemnation. So the building is condemned. So the fancy way of saying condemned now is unsafe to occupy. So it's not just a bad paint job. That's not a cosmetic issue. This is a load-bearing concern, structural concerns, and life safety concerns. Wiring, framing, and things that if you live in the house could hurt you or someone in your family. And that is the result of someone doing construction with no permits and no inspector to look over their shoulder and make sure they're doing it right. This is the reason permits exist, y'all. Like, that is literally bold and highlighted in the script. So Claude did get that right. It is the reason for permits. Permits are not paperwork. Permits are a third party making sure that the person with the hammer actually knows what they're doing. Shocking. And the Schwab.
They didn't want anybody looking. They did not want a single person looking. But just think about like how bad it had to have been for these people to think like, oh, I need a lawyer. And then the lawyer goes and gets the inspector, and the inspector's like, no, we're gonna make this unsafe for living. Like there is, I mean, it's not a short list that it has to be.
They didn't even do that with the Jake Molbach guy. Now that might have been because the inspections department was kind of in on it, but like it wasn't structurally sound, and yet they continued to allow him to live in the house. So like it must have been really, really bad. And it turns out that the Collinses weren't the only ones. When prosecutors started digging, they found victim after victim. A family named the Davidsons, Ben Davidson, testified at the trial that the whatever their company name, builder, caused a massive asbestos spill in his home.
Asbestos?
I know.
That is so dangerous.
What did they even do? So if you're a contractor doing demo in a house that's built before the late 70s, and this is a thing, because how any of us are still here is kind of beyond me. The stuff that were happening in like the 50s, 60s, 70s, especially in like the construction world, like what they were putting in materials and being like, it'll be fine. Rub some dirt in it is wild to me. Like lead in paint. I'm just like,
well, they didn't know.
I guess, but come on. Like
I was almost rented an apartment when I was living in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
And it was horsehair was part of the wall.
Yeah, that's so like old school stucco essentially. They use horsehair. So if you're ever in Asheville, North Carolina, and you go to like the Biltmore area, they have all these just like adorable little cottage looking buildings that are shops, and they all have this old school kind of plaster stuff, and it has horsehair in it. Yeah. And there's like one guy in the country that still does it.
It's crazy.
So again, if you're like a contractor working in anything that was built before the late 1970s, you're required to test for asbestos. You're also required to test for lead. And if it's present, you're required to have a certified abatement team handle it. Which, listen, that's good work if you can get it, because it's a process to get that license, and you have to go through a lot of hoops and a lot of red tape and a lot of like hoops of fire. But once you have that license, you are the only people that can do that work. Like I can't do asbestos work if I don't have that type of license. And that, I think that's a federal thing. So I think that it doesn't matter what state you're in, like asbestos is so dangerous, and it's not just the handling of it, it's the disposing of it, because it gets
in the air. Yeah, and that's
it can be really toxic. So you don't just rip it out because it's a public health issue, and that's a federal regulation. The EPA regulates that, which you can reference on the line. So ultimately, a Colorado statewide grand jury indicted 5 people in December of 2024, including the owner, Avi, whatever his last name is, his father, Sean, and multiple employees. Do y'all know the crimes that you would have to commit for not just the father and son, but their employees? Like, Schemes be scheming. The indictment was amended in March of 2025 to add more than a dozen additional charges. And when the forensic accountant went through the builder's bank records from July 2021 to December 2024, they found over $1.1 million in consumer fraud that were not spent on the customer's projects or refunded. That money just went somewhere else.
It's just floating
Probably
around.
in an account in the Caymans.
Yeah. All of a sudden, they have like a brand new vacation home,
monster
fancy
truck,
cars.
As one does.
Yes.
You know, listen, for me, it would just be additional special trash.
All the special trash.
Actor's like, look at this great special trash. He was very excited to be able to go get something out of the special trash over the weekend. He's like, oh, I have just the thing for that. He like ran to his little special trash shed. Just a little baby. So excited to go to the special trash shed. He's like, I've got the thing for it. And like, that is a great thing because at least we're not going and buying something, but it also reinforces that special trash is good.
Yeah.
So whenever it happens, a part of my soul dies because I'm like, great, this is going to mean more special trash is purchased.
Because it's useful, Mickey. It's
Great.
useful.
I'm the whole problem, not Hector. So the case goes on trial, and Kevin and Noelle Collins testify. Ben Davison testifies, and multiple victims get on the stand and explain what the Schwab builders did to their home. I love that we're saying Schwab because I'm like, can you sue us? Did we say your name? I don't think we did.
We butchered it.
We did spell it, though. And the jury comes back and they find that this builder was guilty on every single count. 47 felony counts of theft, money laundering, and violating Colorado's Organized Crime Act. I'm like, oh, so the mafia was involved?
My God. Every single count.
They were found guilty on every single
awesome.
one. And
Well, I mean, awesome that they're getting, that the people are getting justice,
Yes,
not awesome that they did it.
justice. Yeah, it sucks that it happened. We're glad that they're in trouble. And the judge sentenced the main guy, Avi, to 10 years in a Colorado Corrections Department. Like, get out.
10 years.
I think 10 years is the most anybody's gotten so far. I think the story before was 5 to 15. You know that guy's getting out in 4.5 years. But, dude, a solid 10 years, like... No swing room. I'm here for that. And Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser, in his statement, said this sentence should stand as a warning to anyone who exploits homeowners in Colorado. And here's the piece of the story that still makes me, a little spicy. In December of 2025, 2 full years after they had moved out, Kevin and Noelle Collins' family finally moved back into their home, not because of anything that the builder did, but because the Better Business Bureau runs a program called the Restoring Trust, where legitimate local contractors donate labor and materials to rebuild homes that have been destroyed by bad actors. And a team of Colorado contractors came together and put the Collins family home back together for free.
That's
wild.
amazing.
I have goosebumps.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see it, but I have goosebumps. I didn't even know that was a thing.
No, but
I had
thank
no
God
idea.
it is. And like, thank God that the other contractors there felt like moved enough to do that for them.
Yeah. So we're going to get into the red flags. Obviously, they did not check his license.
No.
So that is the first thing that is really important. And the other thing is, like, before you sign anything, before you pay a dime, is to verify that license yourself. In most states, contractors licensing is public. They have an online database. In Colorado, the city of Denver has a lookup. In Florida, they have a lookup. In California, the same thing. So this checking the license, no matter which state you're in, it is not hard. It is just that you have to think about it before you sign on the dotted line.
Yeah, it takes 3 minutes.
The other red flag is that no permits were pulled, and this was major work. So listen, if somebody wants to come swap out your sink and they tell you that they don't need a permit, that's not super alarming. If somebody comes into your house and says, we're going to rearrange the entire way that your house looks on the inside, we're going to move walls, we're going to move where your sink is, we're going to put in new lights, and they're not calling for any permits, that's a whole problem. We're going through our red flags a little quick because we're running late on time. That's my fault.
Red flag number 3 was that the contractor does demolition before anything else is locked in.
Yeah. So in this case, they didn't have all the contract worked out and they started demolition anyway, which is a huge red flag. And that's another red flag is that the updates that they got from the builder, they were never just like, hey, this is exactly what's going to happen. They were like, well, maybe so it was super vague. And it was like they were being increasingly hard to understand, and they were using like weird language and things like that, so that even if they did give them an answer, the homeowners didn't know what it really meant.
Yeah. And don't ever let a contracting company say that they're going to handle the inspections for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's their job to like handle the inspections, right? So like when we're talking about like, yeah, when we're talking about inspections and permits and things like that, they should be handling it. But when they say that it's not required, that's when you definitely need to like let those red flags be flagging. So in this case, it's kind of the same as every single case, every story that we've had. They weren't real contractors. They did not have licenses. And unfortunately, just as every one of these starts, nobody checked before they signed on the dotted line. They didn't give them clear outlines and clear definitions of what was going to happen and when. And eventually they just stopped showing up. And it cost them 2 years of not living in their home, of paying 2 mortgages for the place they were currently living and their home that was under construction. Wild. In this case, they were lucky that they had a builder come out and finish their work for them for free, which has literally never happened on any of the horror stories that we've shared.
They always had to pay way more money.
So they were really lucky in that. But like the cost of like housing their entire family for 2 whole years, I can't even imagine how much that was. And we don't want this to happen to you. So if you have a homeowner horror story, we would love it if you go to chicksandconstruction.com and share that with us. And just where can they find us on the socials?
On Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn is at Chicks and Construction Podcast. On TikTok, it's at Chicks and Construction.
All right, guys, share those stories because learning the hard way is overrated. And we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.